look, I know I'm a little bit late on the news, but Paul Reubens passed away. Good old Pee Wee Herman, he passed away. So let's check this video of the evolution of Pee Wee Herman. I'm still trying to get used to these stingers, man. Eventually, we have like a whole video thing and whatever.
The 1980s brought us a heap of pop culture. Some may argue more lasting pop culture than any other decade.
Most of my influences from the 80s and the 90s.
One of the most unexpected icons of the decade came in the form of a boy.
That's the Pee Wee Herman.
How does a two-dimensional comedy character become one of the most famous people in Hollywood within just a few years, and launch the career of a world-famous director? Today on Retro Ruckus,
Mr. Motherfucking
we attempt
Steven
to
Spielberg,
find out.
bitch.
Growing up in the 50s, Paul Reubens often found himself in front of a new invention
Rest in
called
peace to the goat,
television.
man. Rest in peace to the
tuning
goat.
into shows like I Love Lucy, The Mickey Mouse Club,
Rest in
Captain
peace to the
Kangaroo,
goat. Make sure
and
y'all drink some
Howdy
water. It's
Doody.
water in here now since it's melted ice.
Hi, kids! And kids in the gallery, what time is it? Okay, let's sing it.
When his family moved to Sarasota, Florida, many of his neighbors were performers for the Ringling Brothers Circus, where Paul quickly became a frequent visitor. There's no doubt that these influences
Classic
led him
comedian.
to become the
He
oddball
became one
we
of the
know and
classic
love.
comedians, my
Despite
guy.
his parents' initial resistance, he pursued a career in entertainment, performing in plays in his backyard and eventually at a local theater. He moved to California, as all actors do, and worked restaurant and salesman jobs while studying acting at the California Institute of the Arts. After graduating in the 70s, he quickly found his footing in the Los Angeles comedy scene, performing on The Gong Show, a brief appearance in The Blues Brothers, and joining the legendary troupe The Groundlings. It was during these weekly performances that Paul found his comedic voice, and began harnessing this one.
Why don't you take a picture? It'll last longer.
In one Groundling show, the cast was performing as characters you might see at
See,
a
I used to
comedy
be able to
club.
do it like-
Paul,
like, I used to
however,
be able
was
to-
not a fan of
I used to be able to do like the whole Pee Wee Herman thing like early on, like not early on, but I used to know how to do the voice thing. It doesn't really sound it sounds a little weird on here because since I don't have my audio in my ears sound weird than whatever is coming out on the stream or in the video. Ooh, secrets. But it's like I don't know. It's weird because my influences like have been from either like Pee Wee Herman or some of these different comedians that have been out here. Because like, look, when I was growing up, right, it was like Pee Wee and like some of the stuff that I got early into like Blue's Clues and shit like that. Like I'm talking about like the early shit. Now, when I was growing up, Pee Wee's Playhouse was like, it was showing on TV, right? And around that same time, I was also watching Blue's Clues and watching all those other like, excuse me, oh my God, those educational shits, right? People can say now that Pee Wee's Playhouse is educational. Cool, you can say that all day long. They used to play this shit on CBS. Nick on CBS. That's how crazy it was. They used to play this. I think it was not before Nick on CBS. I think they was playing it on CBS at one point as a children's block. Because there's many different versions of Pee Wee's Playhouse. You can say that, oh my God, the 86 version is different. There was one where like an 86 version, the original one was like polished. It wasn't polished, it was rough. But then the stuff that was kind of made a little bit more for kids, even though it was a kids show, it wasn't really for kids. Okay, let me reiterate that thing. It wasn't really for the kids. That's why like a lot of humor from my generation. Let me make this more understandable. I'm a different age group than the people who are part of Gen Z. Even though everybody in the fucking world want to label my generation as Gen Z, it's cool. If y'all want to do it, if y'all people want to do that, go ahead. However, our comedy and our influences were so different because we remember like, I mean, some of the Gen Zers are still understanding now. Like, I mean, like people who were like, when I was 10, they were not alive yet. That's what I mean. Okay, let me make sure I say the right thing. When I was 10, they were not. Some of the Gen Zers were not born yet. Let me make sure. Let me make that sense. In 2004, okay, let's do that. 2004, just for me. No, but like it's crazy because like Blue's Clues, everything from Nick Jr., some of the stuff they had on CBS, Gullah Gullah Island, that was something that I didn't really get into because it ended when I was born. But like I started watching some of the older kind of like kids shows and stuff, and that's where most of my influences came from. The way things are, like I always had like this thing in my head about Paul Rubens and like his character and all that. And it's weird because I had my influences to this day is to like all these different comics and stuff. Dave Chappelle, it's Paul Rubens. Oh my God, it's like a lot of them. I can't explain. I can't like say a lot of them right now because I can't think, and I don't want to keep the video too damn long. But at the end of the day, look, fucking goat.
Performing stand-up comedy. His bits and characters were often on the absurd side. So he made his character a failing comedian, terrible at delivering jokes and responding to hecklers with the phrase,
I know you are, but what am I?
I was just about to say that shit. I know you are, but what am I?
I know you are, but what am I? You are, but what am I?
He donned a gray suit borrowed from Groundlings director Gary Austin, a red bow tie from a friend, and the name of a harmonica Paul had as a child.
And he created an
And
iconic
Pee Wee
character
Herman
that
was
will always
born.
be influential in everybody's life. And I really hope they showed a video about the whole the whole video with cracks and stuff.
And the humans who brought you Cocaine Bear and
The whole video about like cocaine and not cocaine and shit, crack, like yeah, I guess crack, okay. Down the crack is whack. All those like those commercials and shit that was trying to like tell people don't do crack. Those shits was fucking
Years
funny.
later, when Paul
Even the
was
one with,
rejected from Saturday Night
Michael
Live,
Jordan.
he figured his comedy career was over.
Don't
On the
stop.
brink of moving
Don't
back
do it.
home to Sarasota, he remembered that weird little comedian man he portrayed that was so popular a few years back. Maybe something was there. He borrowed some money from his parents and worked with fellow groundlings Phil Hartman and John Paragon to revive the Pee Wee character in
GOAT as well. Phil Hartman, GOAT. Rest in peace to that dude too. His fucking his wife, fuck her. Phil Hartman, GOAT.
own stage show.
Phil fucking
They drew
Hartman is a
inspiration
goat,
from
man.
50s children's shows like Howdy Doody, and tooled the character's angsty rebellion into that of an ageless child, mixing in elements of joy, wonder, and of course, absurdity.
Well, good morning. How do you do? Lots of surprises are just waiting for you. On your mark, get ready, get set. Now go, 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 because it's time now for the Pee Wee Herman Show.
The Pee Wee Herman Show follows a boy named Pee Wee living in a playhouse in Puppet Land. He talks to the audience like
That's
they're
what I mean right
children
here, like,
who've tuned
technically,
into his
it
show,
really wasn't meant
while
for kids,
interacting with
but
friendly
I guess it
neighbors
can be.
like Terry the Pterodactyl, Captain Carl, and Miss Yvonne. While parodying a kiddie
Hold
show,
on.
the play was written for the Groundlings crowd and included a slew of adult jokes and
See?
sexual innuendos. After an hour of educational segments and some audience interaction,
Hey, that
the
whole
show
kid-
ends
yo,
with John
labeled as a
Genie
Pee Wee Herman
granting
dance
Pee-wee's
forever now.
wish to fly,
Hit me,
ending in a
what
musical
was it? Hit
number
me
in
high,
which he
make it high, make it low.
proclaims,
I'm the luckiest boy in the world.
Can you imagine going to a random comedy show and then seeing this? I would be mind blown. The play premiered in 1981 with midnight performances at the Groundlings Theater to a confused but mostly adoring audience. Critics praised its avant-garde style, unique set design, and described Paul Rubens as the weirdest comedian around. Like all bizarre things, it picked up a devoted cult following, moving to the Roxy Theater in Los Angeles where it sold out for 5 months straight, and where HBO filmed the show as a comedy special, pushing
See?
Pee-wee into
Hear me out. I have the most fucking wildest image in my head. I watched the fucking HBO version for so long, and then I think they turned the HBO version to a fucking kids show. Yo, this shit blew my fucking mind, man. I can't. This is
mainstream.
blowing my fucking
It was
mind.
at this point that Paul decided to abandon his real name and absorb the Pee Wee Herman persona as a full-time gig, making appearances in TV shows, movies,
Mm-hmm. Rest in peace.
and
To,
regularly
rest in peace to Rob. Yo,
being
goat,
featured
man.
on Late Night with David
Rest in
Letterman,
peace,
who
Robin
once remarked,
Williams, man.
"What makes me laugh is that it has the external structure of a bratty little precocious kid, but you know it's being controlled by the
Oh my God.
incubus, the
I gotta get this.
manifestation of
I think
evil
after this
itself."
video,
Constantly
I'm
in
gonna get into my
character and
podcast.
popping up everywhere in the comedy world, Pee
that
Wee
out of the
Herman had
way.
unpredictably become the absurdist icon of the era. So much of an icon that Warner Brothers commissioned a full-length feature film. Films based on a single comedy character were a common thing at this time. Films that were successful at bringing comedy characters to the screen were way less common. How do you
SNL,
take this
man.
flamboyant and tempered man-child and write an entertaining 90-minute movie? That is the question Paul attempted to answer in an office on the Warner Brothers studio lot.
And he did.
Did I mention that he had never written a screenplay before? The odds were not in this movie's favor. Halfway through penning his first draft, Paul became distracted by something outside of his office. Bicycles. Something you'll see regularly on studio backlots is employees biking around to whatever set or office they're headed to. Paul jokingly asked Warner Brothers when he would get his, and as a gift, they gave him one, a refurbished 1940 Schwinn. He instantly fell in love. Paul then threw out his first draft and worked with collaborators Phil Hartman and Michael Varhol to start a new script, all
Rest in
about
peace to
the
goat.
bike.
Both the goats.
With this new script, the search was on to find
Pee-wee's
a director
Big
who could match the
Adventure.
twisted sensibilities of Pee-wee's humor and heart. In 1984, Paul attended his friend Shelley Duvall's screening, a short film made by Disney called Frankenweenie. He immediately knew that whoever its director was would be perfect at bringing Pee-wee to the screen. Warner Brothers agreed, and on a whim, they hired a young newcomer by the name of Tim Burton.
Tim Burton.
Burton
Sorry,
amplified
I said,
the kitsch
I said
style
fucking
and
Steven
absurd
Spielberg
humor
at the
of the
beginning.
Pee-wee stage show by adding nightmare sequences, stop-motion animation, and unique set design to the film, elements that fit perfectly in the world of Mr. Herman. When it came to who would compose the music of a story this grand, Paul had an unconventional idea, the frontman of his favorite band, Oingo Boingo. After attending a few concerts, Burton agreed, and rock star Danny Elfman reluctantly took on the task of writing his first ever film score. This is what you call the stars aligning, folks. Each of these artists' sensibilities collided to make the big screen debut of the world's unlikeliest hero.
God damn.
I meant to do that.
Pee-wee's
Biore blemish
What the
patches.
fuck?
Absorb pus and oil.
You're killing me here, Smalls. You're killing me here, man.
Pee-wee's Big
Fuck.
Adventure is a simple movie on the surface. When Pee-wee's beloved bike goes missing, he embarks on a journey through America and his imagination to find it, leading to a wild chase through Warner Brothers itself before becoming a hero and a big Hollywood star. Throw in a romantic pursuer,
Hi, Pee-wee.
an antagonist,
You'll be sorry, Pee-wee Herman.
hilarious stops at every turn,
Hey man, we don't take kindly to strangers coming around here.
wacky side characters, an iconic dance sequence, slapstick humor,
Oh, man.
and
One of the greatest movies of all time, man. I don't give a fuck what anybody says. Texas.
Danny Elfman's offbeat score,
Oh, Jesus.
and
Help
Tim
me.
Burton's unique style,
It looked like this.
and you've got a movie like no one has ever seen before, or since. Just like Pee-wee Herman himself, the film almost immediately took on a loyal cult following, receiving positive reviews from critics and maintaining a number 3 spot at the box office for 6 weeks in a row. While it never outshined its competition, a movie about a time-traveling DeLorean, it eventually grossed $40 million on a humble $7 million budget, and has retained its cult classic status ever since. Its success led Warner Brothers to offer Tim Burton another film, a little movie called Beetlejuice, launching his career as one of Hollywood's top directors, a position he still holds to this very day. Danny Elfman has continued to score almost all of Burton's films, composing music for over 100 Hollywood projects. As for Pee-wee, he used the movie's success to revive his original stage play as a genuine morning kids show for all ages, Pee-wee's Playhouse, which won 15 Emmys during its run and cemented the character as a pop culture sensation. And perhaps best of all, in 1985, Pee-wee Herman hosted his own episode of Saturday Night Live, only a few years after Paul Reubens was rejected from the cast. That's showbiz, baby. On
What
paper,
does that
a
sound
Pee Wee
like, huh?
Herman movie never should
Does
have
that
worked.
sound like, huh?
It was a low-budget comedy by
Fucking
a first-time
Lorne Michaels,
director,
man. Fuck that dude
scored by a
sometimes.
first-time movie composer, with a script written by first-time screenwriters about a character who had never even had a leading role on television, let alone a big-screen movie. But ironically, those exact aspects are the very reason that it thrived. Rather than making a movie for fans of the stage show, Paul Reubens wrote a story that introduced Pee-wee to the world, with jokes that were funny whether you knew the character or not. Instead of choosing a director and composer already known for their work in Hollywood, Paul picked promising young weirdos who would use their unique styles to help the story flourish as a true work of art. Not only is Pee-wee's Big Adventure timeless,
even as myself as being a, I guess I could call myself a filmmaker. I always want to work with people who are willing to do new shit, and then at the same time, I'm willing to work with people who want to be able to be part of something early on instead of being attached to something that's already like established. Because the best people who gotten anywhere further in their careers are people who just out of the blue popped out of nowhere. And a good example of that, I guess, could be the actress who played I guess that in that movie Swarm, not the movie, it's the TV show Swarm. She's been doing decently in her career so far, and the same thing for like first time directors. Like for what was the first I think that movie Sorry to Bother You. I don't know what the fuck that was when I watched that movie. I brought my wife to saw that movie, and she did not like that at all. But I know for a fact that's something that you could just become a first time feature-length film on, and here you go, and then you got this big ass twist at the end, and then you're like, what the fuck? I like shit like that. That's why when I get back into like really getting hands down on like screenwriting and shit, I want to be able to make something that makes you think. I could create something that entertains you. Okay, I can make like a superhero film, create a superhero film, or create a drama, comedy, or any of that shit. I want it to be something that you will always think about. I want something that can fuck up your head, that you have to like question your sanity, question your reality the next day. That's the type of shit I want to make. And this is an example of that. This.
Funny? It's a time capsule of a few young artists sharing their absurdity with the world. And that
it doesn't have to be a comedy,
named
man.
Pee-wee evolved from the stage to the big screen.
Crazy,
Daddy,
man.
let's go.
Let's go. Don't you want to see the rest of the movie?
I don't have to see it, Daddy. I lived it.
Rest in peace to the GOAT, man. Rest in peace to the fucking GOAT. Jesus, man. Oh, he played it finish out the whole video. Rest in peace to the GOAT. Shit is crazy, man. With that all being said, I'll check you out in the next video. Make sure you drink some water and support your local black businesses. And I'll see y'all later. Yeah.